All right, Brian, you can go and roll it. And good evening. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting, September 18th, 2017. We're going to begin with tonight's meeting with a couple of presentations. First of all, for a proclamation to Cheryl Bourne and Elizabeth Dobbins from the GYN Cancer Awareness Month. And Mayor, I think you have a proclamation for that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it okay if I address the crowd while we do this? So, well, thank you for being here. And tonight we're going to ask Mrs. Cheryl Bourne and Betsy Dobbins to go ahead and come forward. Cheryl, I think your husband's here to take some pictures. We're here tonight for a very important proclamation. And really to honor you two ladies for still being here with us. We're blessed. Homewood's blessed. Now, Cheryl has given me permission that every time I have to say gynecologic, I can say GYN. So bear with me on that. Okay? So ladies, if I can just get y'all to step in close, we'll read this. It's a proclamation for GYN Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas GYN cancers are among the leading cancer killers of women in the United States, and more than 98,000 women will be diagnosed, and more than 30,000 women will die from the disease this year, and the absence they leave in our hearts will be deeply felt forever. Whereas the Laurel Crandall Brown Foundation and their State of Till initiative brings awareness of all GYN cancers to the people throughout the state of Alabama, and whereas the good health and well-being of women, the state of Alabama, and the city of Homewood are enhanced by increased awareness of the GYN cancers and their symptoms and treatments. And whereas it is crucial that all women in the state of Alabama and in the city of Homewood take an active role in learning the symptoms and risk factors associated with GYN cancers, developing healthy habits, and undergoing regular medical examinations so that any occurrence of this disease may be detected in their early and treatable stages. And whereas we reflect upon the memory of those lost to these diseases, the bravery of those currently battling these diagnoses, and the need for increased awareness, screening, and research, do that the women of the state of Alabama and the city of Homewood might be spared from them in the future, and encourage all citizens to work together to raise awareness of GYN cancers. So now, therefore, I, Scott McBrayer, the mayor of the city of Homewood, Alabama, hereby proclaim September 2017 as GYN Cancer Awareness Month throughout the city, and we encourage all residents of the city of Homewood to work together to raise that awareness of GYN cancers, and do commend this observance to all of our citizens. So ladies, again, congratulations on beating this. We are honored and thrilled that you're here. We need you ladies in Homewood. So thank you for all that you do. And you do a lot of things that are unspoken, and I know that personally, to help people. So on behalf of the city of Homewood, we want to present this proclamation and in honor of you and in the memory of those that lost the battle. Okay? And we love you.
Thank you so much.
And y'all can give them a big hand.
Thank you. Love you too. And thank y'all for your support and for lighting up.
Say something?
Oh, well, and if you ever notice the teal on the City Hall in September, and at Rideouts, and at the park, at the pool, that's for GYN cancer to bring awareness. So, and you'll see teal throughout all of Alabama too, but we really appreciate Homewood's support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. All right, we have another presentation by Diane Litzy, who's going to come forward on behalf of the Homewood Arts Council. Thank you, Diane.
I can bring up my crew with me.
Even better.
Good evening. I'm Diane Lindsay, I'm the chair of the Homewood Arts Council, and I'll go down the line.
Bob Tucker, Ward 5.
Arden Blackwell, Ward 2.
Carolyn Warren, Ward 1.
Hannah Johnson, Ward 3.
And Shannon Parker is out of town, and she is one of our at-large members. So we're happy to see you tonight, and I have a really amazing committee. We wanted to say thank you for your funding for the past few years and for being in the budget for the next fiscal year, and we're much appreciative of that. We, with our events this past year, reached over 5,000 people with 6 exhibits downstairs, as well as 2 large events. One, which is the Pick in the Park and Handmade Art Show, which will be this October, and I have propaganda to give you. And then we also have the Jazz in the Park concert in April, which we'll do again this year. We're just happy to have this happening in Homewood. We're open to ideas for other projects. And we have one at-large position that is open. So if you know anyone who would like to be involved, we'd love to have you. And happy to answer any questions, comments, woo-hoos.
I have a comment. Thank you all for what you do, Diane, and you particularly. I know this has been a cause for you, and it's just amazing to see what the Arts Council has grown into over the past, 4 or 5 years.
I think this is year 4, maybe 5. Yeah.
But thank you all for what you do, and it does make a difference.
Well, it really takes all of us. It's interesting that with every new member, we find a different area of expertise that we share, and that's really what makes it work. So.
I'm still looking for my area of expertise.
But please see his photographs downstairs. It's a beautiful exhibit. So he does have a lot of skills. But thank you, and I'm going to give these up via Diaz, and you can pass them down, and I can certainly bring you more if you holler at me. Okay?
Y'all
Thank
come
you.
Sunday, the 15th of October. Bring your ukuleles.
Yes. It's participatory event, so thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Okay, we'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order, and we will begin with an invocation, and I believe we have none other than our honorable clerk who will lead us in our invocation tonight. Melody,
Wearing a lot of hats tonight.
everything else around here, why not lead us in our
Why not?
invocation?
But this is definitely not my expertise, so I'll do my best. If you please bow your heads and pray. Father, we come to you tonight and ask you to forgive us for our sins. We ask you to wash us, cleanse us, purify us in the blood of our Savior, Christ Jesus. Father, we thank you for dying on the cross in our place and for our sins and for giving us salvation, which we definitely did not deserve. We thank you for the blessings you've given us both personally and also the city of Homewood. And we ask that you lead, guide, and direct the decision makers of Homewood tonight for to do the best interest for the citizens of Homewood. And also we ask the same thing, that you lead, guide, and direct us personally and give discernment for God's will in our lives. We ask all this in Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with roll call. Ms. Melody.
Okay, Mr. Waltney.
Here.
Mr. Thames.
Here.
Mr. Higginbotham.
Here.
Mr. Wolverton.
Here.
Mr. McCluskey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Wyatt.
Here.
Mrs. Andress.
Here.
And Mr. Wright.
Here.
And Mr. Limbaugh is absent, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Melody. I'll begin with dispensing for reading of the minutes from our council meeting from August 14th, 2017 first.
Says it is.
Check, check. All right, with microphone operating, I'll repeat, beginning with dispensing with the reading of the minutes from August 14, 2017. Entertain motion. By Mrs. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wyatt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And secondly, entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from August 28, 2017 as well.
So moved.
By Mr. Gwaltney, second by Mr. James. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, do we have any board vacancies or appointments today?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we do. Okay. Mr. Jones.
For the Environmental Commission, from Ward 3, we had the chairman resign, so we need to open up that for, what do you think, Mr. McCluskey? 2 weeks, so August 2nd, I mean October, I'm talking about, let's say October 9th, so that's a council meeting night, so I would say move for October 9th at 4:30 PM deadline.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
while we're on the Homewood Environmental Council, we also had one of our at-large members who stepped down, Gail Yielding, so I would open up that at-large position, and I don't see any reason why the timeline shouldn't coincide with the others, so I would just say October 9th at 4:30 PM.
Okay, you have that, Melody?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Any further action on board appointments?
Are we open on that Arts Council at-large position? Is that still open?
I need to check on that. When she said that, I made myself a note to check on it. I'm not positive, but I will check on it and report back to you next week.
No problem.
All right, anything further on that? Okay, so we will now get into our agenda, and if everyone will take a deep breath, we're going to have to amend our agenda like it's never been amended before. I'll spare everyone all the reasoning behind it, but I get to have the joy of doing that. So we're going to begin with amending our consent agenda, adding 210817, which is a request for consideration for an off-street parking pad adjacent to the public street at 910 Salter Road, which will be added to our consent agenda. We will amend our old business agenda, adding 240617, which is a request to consider an easement for portion of South Forest Drive. We will add also to old business 2507, which is a request for presentation from the Daniels community, which we heard tonight, and action on that. In addition, we'll add 140817, which is a request to amend fiscal year 2017-18 budgets. Also, the old business 200817, which is a request for reconsideration to accept the dedication of a road at Edgewood Place. And I believe that, no, one more item to old business, which is 190817, which is a request for consideration of changing the construction working hours defined in section 5.9.1 of regulations concerning the issuance of building and construction permits. And then amending new business, our committee referral agenda. We're going to be adding 100917, which is a request to set a public hearing and referral to the Special Issues Committee for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 1745 Oxmoor Road. 110917, which is going to be a request for consideration to become an official fan guide sponsor for the December 23rd, 2017 annual Birmingham Bowl. That's going to be referred to Finance Committee, and by the way, the 100917 is going to be referred to Special Issues Committee. 120917 is going to be a request for consideration for lighting on Lancaster. That's going to be referred to Finance Committee. 130917, which is a request for consideration for Phase 2 Greenway project, being referred to Public Works Committee. 140917 is a request for consideration for Freshwater Land Trust participation in the Greenway project, being referred to Public Works Committee. 150917 is a request for consideration of traffic safety concerns on Kent Drive, to be referred to Public Safety Committee. 170917 is a request to work in the city right-of-way at 319 Grand. And I assume that's being referred to public safety, special issues, excuse me, I didn't have that. That being referred to special issues. And that is it with regard to referral. Other new business, we have 100917, request to set a public hearing referral to the Special Issues Committee for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 1745 Oxmoor Road. That's 100917. Also being added to new business is 160917, which is a request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of September 11, 2017 through September 17, 2017. And lastly, being added to new business is 180917, which is a request to fund HPM list of invoices that have been paid by the Board of Education.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
120917 on the committee referral agenda, you have it listed as finance, which was what I sent through, and I think we had a discussion that needs to go to public safety first.
Public safety. Okay.
Yeah,
So
can-
1209.
I think we were going to ask, I think it was, we missed, but we were actually going to see if we could send it to both places,
both.
so it'd already be there. If Mr. Jones is okay with that, we'd send it to both
All right,
places at one
we'll
time.
send it to public safety and finance. It's 120917.
And I just wanted to confirm, I wrote down 200817 on old business twice at the very beginning. I just want to make sure you didn't have that twice.
Yeah, what was the Daniel number? I think that's the one that was wrong.
Yeah, there were two 1009s.
Daniels was 250717.
The very first thing you said, I wrote down 200817, and then I wrote it down again for Edgewood Place. So I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
That's 200817, which is the Edgewood Place. That's
Okay. I may have written it
And then
down.
and then there was a
That's what it
210817
was.
that
Went to consent.
was on the consent agenda. That was the
Yeah.
very first one I made. That was 210817.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
I wrote down two 100917s. So-
That's because you have it on committee referral and other new business instead of public hearing. It's in two places.
different places.
It's all, you get added to the committee referral and other new business.
Well, let's talk about that later. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't add them up, but that's got to be close to a record. All right, any further questions about the amendments to tonight's agenda? And just for explanation's sake, this is coming as a result of the cancellation of our previous council meeting, which has kind of put us in this predicament. But without any further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended.
So moved.
Is there on tonight that has to do with the size of house you can build on a particular lot, the old business? I was told that it was.
Yes, that's correct. That's 180717.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is.
Yeah, that was already on the agenda. Okay, without any further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended for Mr. Jones.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the agenda stands approved as amended. And we will start into it. All right, first we'll begin, I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda, which was one item 210817, which was, came out of committee, was dropped tonight
So moved.
by Ms. Andrews. Second by Mr. McCluskey to approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, first item, that stands as approved, Melody. First item on old business is 120517, which is actually a public hearing set for November 13, 2017, 6 o'clock for consideration of the petition for annex for the property located at 1400 Shades Crest Road. So that will be carried over. Next item will be 180717, which is a public hearing for tonight at 6 o'clock for request to add 800 square foot minimum back to Section A of the NPD. And that is a public hearing for tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and open up that public hearing. And first we'll begin with any comments from the public with regard to this item.
Mr. Wright, do you want me to give the details of what is being considered?
Yeah, let's go ahead, yeah. Is this coming out of your committee?
Yes, sir. This
right.
came from the Planning Commission to Planning and Development of adding an 800 square foot minimum to any homes built on lots less than or equal to 49 feet in width. It was voted out, it was a unanimous approval at the Planning Commission level and voted out at P&D. No recommendation pending public hearing.
All right, so that came out of P&D, and is there anyone here to speak in favor or against this item? Sir, I don't know if that's your item. Please come forth to the podium and give us your name and address, and certainly want to hear your comments.
Right, sir, right here, just. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Your address,
Oh.
y'all.
You can just speak to us, that's fine, sir.
My name is Jim Dixon. I'm not a resident of Homewood. I live in Green Valley, right up on the hill there. I'm a builder, a remodeler. I've done business with y'all my whole working life. And I have got a contract on a piece of property here in Homewood. And I love the idea of smaller homes. I think 800 square feet is okay. You know, if you started saying I have to build 1,600 square feet, I would not like that.
There are some lots in Homewood that are smaller than, what'd you say, like 49 or something like that, and that's where I sort of, because I'm interested in that. You know, do y'all address that? Because you do have some smaller lots than 50 feet in Homewood. And I would really like to build like a 400, 500 square foot house on some of those smaller lots. So I don't want to take a bunch of time. I really don't. I just wanted to sort of to speak up. And what's interesting is that prior to this 800 square foot restriction, y'all had, am I right? I'm asking, no restriction.
No, that's not correct.
That's not, okay.
Since 1986, we've had minimum square footage. We made an amendment to another section, and the Planning Commission recommended this section be deleted, and all this ordinance does is simply put it back in. That happened about 3 months ago, so it's...
See, I got caught in between.
Yeah.
I made an offer on this lot, and they said, and
Well,
then I talked to...
It depends on the width of your lot about what restrictions you have.
I understand.
Anything less than 49 feet, you have to have a minimum of 800 square feet.
Do you have one for less than that?
No,
less
sir,
than
that is
49?
just 49 feet or less is 800 square feet.
Oh, okay, 49 feet or less, okay. Well, that settles in. Like I said, I'm good with 800 square feet. I'm good with that. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thanks for coming out. Anyone else here to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing no one else, I will go ahead and close public hearing and turn it over to council for comments from the council on this item. Yes, Mr. Jones.
My only comment is just, what can we do to make sure we don't miss things that are amended within our...
That was the recommendation of the Planning Commission. You adopted the recommendation that was given to you.
Yeah, I understand that, but it was in place before, and I'm just trying to figure out how we missed that it was deleted. I don't think that was what the Planning Commission wanted to do, but I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way we can make sure this doesn't happen again for other items? That's really only comment I have.
One way that confused me, and we're addressing this now, is our Muni Code hasn't been updated, and so, you know, for those of us that were looking at it via Muni Code on our iPads or something like that, it was still in there.
Right.
Now we're addressing that. We're going to update Muni Code, but that's probably part of the problem.
Got it.
No good answer, but hopefully won't see it again.
Okay.
All right, with that, Mike, I think we're ready for first reading.
All right, so it's an ordinance to amend the provisions of subsection D through J of subsection 3 entitled Development Regulations of Section A entitled NPD Neighborhood Preservation District of Article 4 entitled District Uses, all the Appendix A entitled Zoning Ordinance of the City of Homewood. that Section D through J be amended to read as follows. Section A is the current section of setbacks, deals with side setbacks. Section 2 deals with front setbacks. Section 3 deals with rear setbacks. Section 4 deals with the maximum building height. Section F is the only section modifying the existing ordinance, which provides that minimum living area of dwelling shall be as follows: less than 49 feet, 800 square feet minimum living area, 50 to 55 feet, 1,200 square feet, 56 to 65, 1,400 square feet, 65 to 75 feet, 1,600 square feet, 76 feet or greater in lot width would be require a minimum living area of 1,800 square feet. All other provisions of the ordinance remain in full force and effect as presently stated.
Thank you, Mike. I'll entertain any further discussion on that. Entertain a motion for unanimous consent.
So moved.
Sir, we've kind of already closed the public hearing, so sorry about that. I have a motion for unanimous consent from Mr. McCluskey.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Andrus. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, excuse me, it's going to be a roll call vote. Excuse me.
No.
Okay,
Roll call vote, Madam.
thought you were letting me off easy tonight.
No, can't do that.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham? Mr. Wolverton? Mr. McCluskey? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And now I'll entertain a motion for adoption. By Mr. Gwaltney. Second by Mr. Thames. And Melody, another roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton? Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And that's ordinance, I think, 2668.
Yes, sir.
Stands as approved. Next item is 060817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of the zoning application of Homewood Place LLC to rezone 2713, 2725, 2727, 2739, and 2717 18th Street South and 2728 Mamie L. Foster parcel of number of parcels from C4 Central Business District to C-4B High-Rise Office Commercial District to mixed use for the purpose of permitting the construction of a joint hotel and retail development. And we're having a public hearing on this. Mike, let me ask one question. Do we need to take up the zoning before we do the development plan?
Now, before we vote on the zoning, you'll have to approve the final development plan, but you might want to get the public comments first.
Okay, because we got, make
It's
sure.
backwards on the agenda.
It is backwards, okay, well,
But again, you probably want to hear the public comments about the project.
okay, all right, fair enough.
We'll proceed to get it straight before you vote.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'm going to go and open a public hearing on this matter. And this did come out of committee, did it not?
Yes, sir. And I apologize, I don't have minutes in front of me. It did. It came to planning development. It came from the planning commission with a 5-0 to 1 abstention vote to approve. The planning development committee saw the presentation and voted to send out without recommendation pending the public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thames. And I will open up the public hearing for anyone to speak in favor or against this item now. Sure, please come to the podium. Come to the podium. You want to speak to it? Give us your name, Joe.
Ma'am, could I get your name and address here, please, for the record?
Okay. I just asked if you change the second one to the one from top first.
They're both the same thing.
They're both the same thing.
So we just want to do one thing.
We're going to have discussion on both things before there's any vote on anything.
I'm going to speak later.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, anyone else wish to speak in favor of this item? Please come forward.
Yes, what's your name, please? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm Mike Moran. I live at 2880 Mountain Brook Parkway. I'm the developer of the proposed hotel. When we went before the Planning Commission originally, we were unanimously rejected. The comments were that the hotel was too high and we had inadequate parking. Since that time, we have reduced the hotel from 7 stories down to 5. I closed last Friday on an additional purchase of land, which I believe your staff will tell you now has us exceeding the amount needed to meet code. And in addition, if the city pursues the redevelopment of 18th Street, as I understand to be the plan, and installs angled parking in front of our development, I have committed to remove the parking in front of Wolf Camera, which is to become a full-service spa, as well as the curb cut to create an additional green space of, as you can see on the plan to the right. This is the existing Wolf Camera building. Right now, this is parking with curb cut. If the city improves 18th Street, we will remove that parking, which would not be necessary, and install a landscaped courtyard. I think that, coupled with the green space we are proposing, including on the corner of 28th and 18th, where the hotel steps back, gives us great opportunity for significant green space, which I think is appropriate since this will be in large measure the front door of the city of Homewood coming from the north on 18th Street. I think that's basically it. I think, oh, I'm sorry, we came out of, the councilman said we came out of the Planning Commission with a 5-0-1 vote. The one abstention was Billy Higginbotham, who used to work with me, and so therefore he abstained.
All right, thank you. While we have Mr. Moran up here, I will ask him if anyone has any questions for him at this time. Sir, we can talk and discuss later as well. Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or against this item? And Ms. Eccles, this would be the time to speak because the next item, which involves the development plan, does not call for a public hearing. So certainly, if you want to have any comments, now would be the time, if you care to make any.
I was waiting to see if anybody else was coming.
Okay, fair enough. I just didn't want to move to the next item and then say you cannot speak. So, all right, if anyone else wishes to speak in favor or against this item, please come forward. All right, seeing no one, oh, please come forward.
Hey, I'm Joe Eccles. I live at 308 English Circle here in Homewood. And I wanted to take this opportunity to, first of all, tell you that I have been involved in this since the very beginning at the Planning Commission level. And I have attended both public hearings and have asked the commission both times to reject this proposal. The first time they did unanimously, as you read. The second time was approved unanimously. Well, I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to say that now I am in favor of this project. And let me tell you why. The builder, Mr. Moran, has gone out of his way to meet with the citizens. He's come to the Green Space Initiative Public Forum. He has really taken into consideration what our vision should be for Homewood on the north part of the town. It would be an anchor. It will really open that area to Homewood, and it would be a great addition. I appreciate his concern. I appreciate his vision that he really sees what we are trying to do here in Homewood, and I ask you as the council to approve this, even though I had previously asked you to deny it. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for your time, and I thank Mr. Moran for the time and all of the people that have worked with us, and thank you again. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Ms. Eccles. Anyone wish to speak in favor or against this, please come forward. Yeah, I got to give them your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Now, the second time I've spoken into a microphone in 20 years. I'm also here to ask you to vote in favor of the final development plan. I have been at one of the hearings and have been working with so many people about developing meaningful green space downtown. And I think the green space is tied to two key things: strong and focused municipal planning and smart commercial development. And I do think that this provides that, and it leads on that. As Joe Eccles, my friend, said, I think, I think tying the green space in front of the hotel to 18th Street development is a win-win for us. We get more for the buck. I think clearly he's recognized it as the North Anchor and how important that is. And I think it's a really good start to meaningful greening of downtown. I also think that he's setting a tone, this hotel and the development, in that real green space is good for business and is good business. So I just ask you to vote in favor. Thank you.
Could you state your last name for the record, just make sure I have it right?
It's Elizabeth Hunter.
Hunter, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else, please come forward.
How you doing? I'm Ken Shea, 112 Bonita. I would just like to thank Mr. Moran for the changes that he made. The green space, buying Tim Pruitt's parking lot, the gravel lot, not just leasing it, buying it. And I would just like for this to be, I think he's going to build a quality building. He says he is. He did everything he said he was going to do. The spa is a nice addition to Homewood. Obviously, we'll sell more chicken salad and sports shirts, so all of us Homewoody people are happy. So I just thank you for the changes you made. And, I would hope that, I know it was mentioned in the council that we can't ask people to build quality buildings, and I'm friends with Ed's Pet World. I bought a lot of pets there. But I think in light of what he's doing, it just says that, people want to stand for quality. I put a lot of money in my house. English Circle has a lot of money, and I understand if someone can't afford to put that kind of money in their house. But it's just nice, the quality that he's going to do. He did what he said he was going to do, and I think that's what Homewood stands for in the future. I know, let's see, Vestavia, Mountain Brook, they all have a call-out plan for the building materials that are in there. And obviously, you don't always get to deal with a quality person like this, and so I just hope in the future we can get this kind of understanding, because I think quality, quality has no time, no fear of time. So I thank y'all, and thanks for your time up here.
Great, thank you so much. Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing no one else, we're going to close the public hearing, and I will turn it over to any comments or discussion from the council.
I would just like to give a shout out to Ward 5. Those are all Ward 5 folks, and we appreciate you all very much, and thanks for your comments.
Anyone else? Or with that, Mike, I guess we can go ahead and do the first reading before we take any action on this
Yes, sir.
item.
Procedurally, we need to make sure the council understands and the public. This is a rezoning to the MXD zoning district. Requires, prior to a vote on the rezoning, that you approve the final development plan. Now, the particular final development plan is also attached to the zoning ordinance that would limit this development to the plan that is now incorporated into the zoning ordinance. So the city's covered more than one way, essentially, that the only development that could take place on this property would be that development plan, which is attached as Exhibit A to the zoning ordinance that's been published as the time of the public hearing. So this is an ordinance to further amend Ordinance 1602 of the City of Homewood entitled Zoning Ordinance and Zoning Map of the City of Homewood. Whereas the Planning Commission of the city has approved and recommended to the City Council that Ordinance 1602 be amended to take out of the existing Homewood Zone C4 and C4B zoning districts and rezone the property described here in MXD multiple-use zoning district. And whereas the council has set a public hearing as required by law and has given notice as required by law of the public hearing, that today is the date of the continuation of the public hearing. It was set last Monday, but it was canceled due to inclement weather. The property that's being rezoned is described in Exhibit A. All the uses permitted in the MXD zoning district would be applicable to the property described in Exhibit A, and the property would also have to be developed pursuant to the development plan attached as Exhibit B. And I want to point out in that development plan, although Mr. Moran has offered certainly to make a larger green space area in front of the spa, that would only be done if the city essentially goes forward with the improvements along 18th Street for on-street parking, and that has not yet been approved. So the plan that you're approving technically has the parking in front of the Wolf Camera building until such time as the city modifies or constructs those improvements. Additionally, there are some parking on the at the corner of 18th and 28th that would require some type of easement. Mr. Ron has said in committee meeting that he would provide an easement so that would permit us to construct those public improvements that do encroach very minimally on his property lines as a part of the development. The development sets out that angled parking in front of that building, and as I understand, that's the city's desire as far as the improvements that we would make. So at this point, before you vote on this zoning ordinance that I've just read, you need to have a motion and a second to approve the development plan, which is attached as Exhibit B to the zoning ordinance.
All right, then let's go ahead and go to 070817, and we'll come back to the zoning in just a second. 070817 is a request for consideration of the final development plan submitted by Homewood Place LLC for the same previously described properties. This request was considered by the Homewood Planning Commission at its meeting on August 1st, 2017, resulting in a favorable recommendation by a vote of 5-0 with one abstention. And with that description, Mike, I think we can go ahead and do a first reading of the development plan.
Well, there's no reading of the development plan. It's just essentially there's the development plan attached to Exhibit A. So the proper motion would be a motion to approve the development plan for this project attached as Exhibit B to the zoning ordinance.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, certainly. I was going to entertain any questions or discussion about the development plan.
Mr. Kendrick, if and when the city hopefully does build the angle parking on 18th to allow the additional green space, will the development plan have to go back to the Planning Commission and then back to the council?
It would not have to come back if it's determined to be insignificant. Considering that he's represented that at the public hearing, likely not.
Okay. I'd move to approve the development plan.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the development plan, and this would be under 070817.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Andrus. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the development plan stands as approved.
Yes, so the motion now would be a motion for unanimous consent to consider ordinance number 2668, which would affect the rezoning of the two zoning districts until the new zoning district, MXD, based on the legal description of the property attached and the development plan attached as Exhibit B.
All right, and that'd be actually ordinance 2669.
Yes, sir.
And do we need a first reading on that?
I just read that.
You did read that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I'll entertain a motion for unanimous consent.
Second.
Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. Gwaltney, and roll call, Ms. Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And without any further discussion or comment, I'll entertain a motion for adoption
So moved.
by Mr. Wyatt, second by Mr. McCluskey. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. So ordinance 2669 stands as approved, and look forward to Hotel Curio coming soon. Thank you all. All right, next item will be 230817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of a variance to the fence ordinance at 112 Hollywood Boulevard. We had to bring this to a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing. I know it came through special issues.
Yeah, well, we actually dropped it in.
Yeah, I know, I have to open the public hearing.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember if this was the one where we needed to, okay.
So you can go and give me a report from special issues.
Okay. So the homeowner had not gotten the information that he needed to come to us tonight for the committee meeting, so we're going, he asked that we drop this issue until he can, such further time as he can get his information together. So in committee, we voted 5-0 to drop.
All right, I think procedurally I need to open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing no one, I close the public hearing. And entertain a motion to drop by Mr. McCluskey.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so item 230817 stands dropped. All right, 240817 is a public hearing tonight for consideration of a variance to the signed ordinance at 824 Green Springs Highway. This is coming to us tonight from special issues, I believe.
Yes. We met right before council meeting and heard a presentation about the signs that were proposed, and the committee voted 5-0 to send this out without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. That motion was made by Mr. Higginbotham and seconded by Mr. McCluskey.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. So I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing on this item tonight, and with regard to this signed ordinance variance, and we'll ask if anyone is here to speak in favor or against this item. Please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, City Council. My name is Bob Foreman, and I have Crown Jewelers over on Green Springs Highway, and I see several of my friends and customers in the building. Thank you. What I'm trying to do is to get new signs on my building. Okay, it's showing the sign. And, of course, the signs from the past were quite ugly, yellow, red, every color under the sun. And so I'm looking to leave 2 of the signs instead of 1, to help my business, and to one day soon this building will be the prettiest building on Green Springs Highway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. That's music to our ears. All right, anyone else to speak in favor or against this sign variance? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public hearing and turn it over to council for any comments or discussion.
I just want to add that we are taking a payday loan building, that's what it currently is, and turning it into a jewelry shop. We are getting rid of a pole sign, which we like to do, And he is painting the building in addition to doing the new signs, which were much more tasteful. So just want to say, I think it's a big win for
Yeah, by my count,
Green
I think
Springs.
that's killing like 4 birds with one sign.
With one sign, with two
Yeah.
signs.
Okay. Any further comments, discussion? With that, I will entertain a motion for approval of the sign variance.
So moved.
By Mrs. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wyatt. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And this is resolution
17-135.
17135 stands approved. All right, next item is 250817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of another variance to a signed ordinance at 428 Green Springs Highway. This also coming to us tonight from Special Issues. Mrs. Smith.
Yes, we heard about this variance in our meeting prior to council, and again, voted to send this out without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. The motion was made by Mr. McCluskey, seconded by Ms. Anderson, was voted 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And another public hearing, so I'll go and open the public hearing and call for anyone to speak in favor or against this. And I think we have somebody about to speak in favor of it.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
My name's Megan. I'm with Advanced Sign and Lighting. This is a customer of mine, and they are looking to upgrade their signs. They're upgrading and renovating their building now. It's going to look a lot nicer. The facade's going to be bigger for the Aldi sign, and it's going to be going up in square footage, replacing the other two, the two that are existing. And then they want the food market signs on each side to show who they are for people who wouldn't know what Aldi is.
Mr. White, may I ask a question?
Yes, and anyone who has any questions, please.
We did have one question in committee for you, and that's the question, the Aldi logo sign.
Mhm.
How much bigger are the signs going to be on the new store than the ones that are currently
The
there?
ones that are existing are about 49 square foot.
Mhm.
All right, let me make sure. They're 46 square foot.
Okay.
And we'll be increasing up to 74.9.
And the store's not coming any, y'all aren't building out, you're just simply
No, just renovating the
front building.
facade and
Okay.
making the front of it look nicer. I have a picture of what's existing also.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the last page on your. Okay.
Any further questions? All right, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this? Vanessa, you have something?
I just saw the plans for Aldi today, and they are building out. They're bringing the front of that building out approximately 10 to 12 feet.
Okay, which still puts them how far from the street? Because I know they're set back quite a ways.
Yeah, I mean, the parking lot really isn't changing much.
Mhm.
They're just bringing where there's, they've got the buggies outside in the front right now, and now they're going to be on the side. So that sidewalk in the front is going to be pretty much taken up by building.
I have a question. You know, our sign variance, we don't really make any adjustments depending on how far back from the road it is.
No, it does not.
We do not.
No. It has, you make adjustments by the width of the lot or the width of the building, but then it states at the bottom that all signs can't exceed over 50 square feet.
Right. Okay. Any further questions for
Well,
Vanessa?
and the other variance was also for the additional food market. I mean, so
Correct.
now we're size and additional signage.
Yes, and the food market fits the size. It's just the two new Aldi signs would be bigger.
Okay. Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just, one point of clarification. And so this will be voted on as a single item, correct? The addition of the 2 signs plus the
Yeah.
variance on the 2 Aldi logo signs.
Yeah,
Is
and let me get to
correct?
that just a second. I'm going to go to the public hearing here first. Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this? And with that, we're going to close the public hearing, and Mr. Higginbotham.
I was just confirming that this motion was a single motion that was going to be handling both addition of a variance for 2 additional signs as well as a size variance on the Aldi signs. I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding that correctly.
Yes, I think we have it all together. Okay, any further questions, comments? I mean, I made the one comment regarding, because when I looked at this in committee, that it is pretty far back from the road.
It's very, and I think that constitutes the hardship
Yeah,
part of the variance is what.
It really does, and it's a sign ordinance issue for another day, perhaps. but,
Yes,
it's-
agreed.
You can almost barely see the Aldi sign from Green Springs, but, all right, well, with that, any further, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I would move to approve.
Approval from Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Wyatt. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No by Mr. Walden, so that represents a vote of 9-1. That is resolution 17-136. All right, next item is 260817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of a variance to sign ordinance at 22 Green Springs Highway. Green Springs and special issues, all about it today. Coming from special issues, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, again, we met on this right before council and voted to send it out without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight, and that motion was made by Ms. Andrus, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham, and voted 5-0, coming out of committee.
All right, thank you. It's another public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing. Again, this one for 22 Green Springs Highway. Is there anyone to speak in favor or against this item tonight? Okay. Seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing and turn over to council for comments or discussion. Did we have some renderings of this one? I'm
Yeah.
having trouble keeping all of these squared away.
This is
Yes,
the one that's
halal.
up the
Okay.
Valley.
Gotcha.
I don't know if he has, I don't know if he has that. And apparently they have already made the adjustment to the actual sign. They just want to do some additional, they want to put a small symbol above halal and international under the word supermarket. They left the word supermarket from the original sign and changed it from oriental to halal.
And so, and this was just a size variance?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval or discussion.
I'll move
Seeing-
to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Mrs. Smith. Do I have a second? Seeing no second, the motion fails. And what's that, Mike?
It would be denied.
And it'll be denied?
Yeah.
And so 260817 will be denied. All right, next item is 270817, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of variance to a signed ordinance on another street, 1920 19th Street South. This one also coming through special issues, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, this is for a new urban cookhouse restaurant that is being built on 19th Street. We heard the proposal from the sign company in our meeting and voted to send it out again without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion made by Mr. McCluskey, seconded by Mr. Gwaltney, voted 5-0.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. And this is a public hearing. On this item, I'm going to open this public hearing and ask for anyone to speak, who's here to speak in favor or against this item. Please come forward. Thank you, ma'am.
Andrea Snyder. I live at 103 West Glenwood here in Homewood.
Great.
And I'm Polly Talley with Mitchell Signs. We're working with Andrea on the new signage for the new location. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be moving from just down the street, up the street now. So we sent over our proposed sign package, which included signage for Urban Cookhouse and also the Farm Bowl, with signs on the front, sides, and on the back, which is where her main parking will be.
All right, we saw these in committee. Any further questions or discussions for our speakers? Mrs. Smith?
Well, as we discussed in the committee meeting, there is concern, well, not just concern, there is the directional signs that are going to be or are proposed. First of all, they're situated currently to be in the city right-of-way, which is not probably going to work. And then also, according to our definition, they're pole signs, which we don't allow. So there's going to have to be some adjustment made in regards to that particular sign because currently it doesn't meet our ordinance specifications. And there was also discussion about the drive-through window, although we know it's not a drive-through, it's just a simple, and we just wanted to make sure and confirm that that was indeed just going to be a pickup window only.
And that's in our zoning, so in our, what we're zoned for, we can't do the call box.
Okay.
We don't operate that way, so it'll be a
Gotcha.
call ahead or order online and pick up.
Okay.
The original idea for this sign came from Regions Bank. When you come down that road, they have one almost just like this pointing to their parking deck, and then on the other side of the street, which I believe is also in the right-of-way, pointing to their parking deck. And so that's kind of where the idea came from.
I think those signs were there.
And it might work.
I think those signs were probably grandfathered in from a
Okay.
previous time. Yeah.
So I think part of the question may be if, I don't know, if this pole sign does not stick with the program here, if you all want to choose to go forward without it, or if you all want to choose to go back, to revise without it. I don't know what your thinking is.
If we go forward without it, so that we can get the other signage moving, can we come back at a later date with an adjusted size for the directional
Yes,
sign?
and we do, monument signs are okay. I think the main thing is you're going to have to locate it somewhere other than the city right-of-way. Y'all are going to have to figure that out. I think that's one of the considerations, but you can certainly come back to the committee at a later time to have that additional sign.
But probably not a pole sign.
But yes,
We have
definitely not a
We
pole
have a
sign.
prohibition on those.
Yes.
So would I just need to get with Mr. Cobb to find out more details about what would be allowed?
Sure, if you wanted to come back for second request at a later time to consider that specific issue. All right, any further questions, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, and I would say we're open to monument signs. We've tried to get away from all the pole signs, but a monument-type sign that would not be in the right-of-way would work. That's what we've encouraged people who have moved from the pole sign.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, any further questions for them while they're up here?
Mr. Wright, can I make sure that I have this correct for the council?
Please.
You're considering signs 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. It's on their diagram. That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Sign 3's
Thank
been
you.
withdrawn.
I'm relying on you. That seems to be correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I get a recap of exactly what the variances are again? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand what we're...
Vanessa, can you help us with that?
I believe it's a multiple sign.
Yeah, it is, by that number.
Yeah, the signs that they propose, I think, are within the permitted.
That's correct.
The sizes
They're
are okay.
proposing the 5 signs that we're looking at meet the size. They're actually way below. The biggest one is the sign 1 at 29 square feet. So they're below the 50 square feet requirement. So we're just having a multiple sign variance.
And how many would they be entitled to?
1.
So we're getting 4.
Well, there's 2 businesses, so 2.
So they're entitled to 2 signs, and they're getting 3 extra for the
Correct.
2 businesses.
And one is more of a directional with a takeout. It doesn't have a name of the business.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Hickam, I was trying to answer your questions. Go ahead. If you,
so there's 2 different businesses in there, and we're the variance is for three signs then, so 2 signs would be allowed.
Well, I take that back, because sign 2 actually is 2 signs, because it's on 2 sides of the building. So I guess it would be
4?
4 extra signs.
Okay, so we're trying to approve the Urban Cookhouse sign on the awning part, the farm to table sign on the corner of the overhang.
Right, they have it on 2 sides.
Right, it wraps around the
Wraps
corner.
around.
And then there's 2 logo signs on the back of the building indicating where Urban Cookhouse is and Farm to Table is.
Correct.
So that people coming from the opposite direction can see those logos as they're pulling toward the restaurant from the back.
Right.
And then the pickup window sign, which will be a blade sign above the pickup window.
Correct.
That's a blade, it's not flush against the...
It's a blade.
It's a blade sticking out.
It is a blade sticking out, okay.
All right, but that is not, your description did not include, your description did not include the pole sign.
It did not. I left
Okay.
that out because we are not considering that.
Gotcha.
Because it is not allowed.
Okay. Okay, if that's not clear as you know what. Okay, any further questions while we have them up here? So it's really multiple signs we're approving. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
And I'll ask if anyone else wishes to speak in favor or against this item. Please come forward. Seeing no one else, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And turn over to comments from the council.
I'd move to approve.
Second. All right, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Tames and a second by Mr. Wyatt. Any further discussion?
Do we need to specify in the motion that we are not approving the number 3 sign?
Yeah, we
so
do.
that we make that clear?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
I've X'd it out and put no pole sign.
Never move for a
He's going to name his next child No Pole Sign. And Mike, don't ask us to give you specifics. I mean, heaven forbid. So, all right. Thank you all, everyone, on clarifying that. So it is no pole sign. It is all the other multiple signage being approved. Any further questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right,
Noes.
And that was, so it'll be a vote of 9-1, no vote by Mr. Hickenbottom. And that,
What is a no vote?
oh, excuse me, I thought that was a no. Did you abstain, or?
No, I voted no.
Yeah, no vote.
Okay.
So it was voted 9-1. And Mike, that is resolution 17-137?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 17-137 stands as approved. Next item, 30-0817, is public hearing tonight for consideration of a variance to a signed ordinance at 279 Lakeshore Parkway. And this is coming to a report from special issues. I know this was carried over, but I wanted, since we did set up a public hearing, I wanted to go ahead and open the public hearing and perhaps we can continue it. Did it come through special issues? This was 30.
Oh, Lakeshore, yeah, wait, hold on,
Lakeshore.
30, yes, this is another one that we need, they had asked us, this is the Starbucks, the new Starbucks on Lakeshore.
Okay, gotcha.
They've asked us to carry this over, but since we already had the public hearing scheduled, we need to open the public hearing, but we're going to need to carry this over.
Okay. So
Continue the public hearing and carry it over.
with that report from special issues, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
I'm here in
and
case you
Vanessa,
need to-
any comments?
No, that's it. They weren't aware that they were even on the city council agenda, so they request to carry it over because they were just asking a question from Greg, and I still need clarification on that.
Okay, all right, so without objection, I will just continue this public hearing.
Mr. Wright, is it still in special issues, or it's just going to be continued here on the council agenda?
I would assume that we're just going to continue it on the council agenda.
Did y'all
Well,
send it out without recommendation then?
Well, no, we didn't vote on it, we
Yeah,
just,
so I guess the way that would work is
Send
we
it
have a
back to
public
special-
hearing that's been
Continued.
open and continued. You guys would probably want to send it out. Can you do that, Mike? Send
Yeah,
out?
you need to just,
Send it out.
continue the public hearing to the next meeting,
Yeah.
city council meeting, and refer it back to council committee.
back to the
Once we
committee.
hear what they're asking for.
Gotcha, okay. All right.
Unless you want to republish the public hearing.
No,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so we'll just, without objection, let this public hearing stand as continued. All right, next item is 240617, which is a request to consider easement for portion of South Forest Drive. And this coming to us from the infamous Public Works Committee with Mr. Wyatt's going to help us with a report on that.
Yes, we met earlier tonight and considered this issue. I moved that the city pave the road subject to each homeowner entering an easement approved by Mr. Kendrick. Mr. McCluskey seconded the motion, and it was recommended, passed by 5-0.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wyatt. If everyone remembers, this was the road that needs paving. And we're basically getting permission to do that by taking on an easement. Any further questions or discussion about this? I'll entertain a motion for approval. So moved by Mr. Wyatt.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that is resolution 17.
There's no resolution about that, it's just since the motions are.
No resolution on this.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Once we've got the easements, then
Can we
the
come
city
back?
can go ahead
Gotcha.
and- we have a paving contract, they can just pay that.
Okay, so 240617.
Understood the approval is conditioned upon the easements.
Yes, sir.
So we can pay private property.
All right, 240617 will stand as approved then. Next item is 250717, which is a request for presentation by the Daniels Communities, which made a presentation today in Committee in Finance. And so this is 250717, and a report from Finance. Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. They had actually made the presentation at our previous meeting, so we've seen the proposal. So the motion tonight was 5-0 to approve the proposal and put it in the budget for this year, or for this coming year.
All right, so that's 250717. Any further discussion on that?
We need to probably leave it on the agenda for a resolution to be prepared.
So do I need to carry this over to the next meeting?
Do you have a contract? That's what we need.
We do, that's for approval and a resolution for enter into contract, but we don't need to vote it into the budget hearing, do we?
No, sir.
Yeah, we can just leave it, so I'd say carry it over.
All right. Any further discussion on that? I certainly don't have any objection to me just carrying this over for the time being. And we'll go ahead and carry over 250717. Next item is 140817, which is a request to amend fiscal year 2017-18 budgets. Also coming to us from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met tonight as well to review that, 5-0 to approve the amendments for 17-18 budgets as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Any further questions or discussions on this? Coming out of Finance, so I will, do I just do a vote? So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that is.
And that'd be a resolution.
That will be resolution.
17138, I believe.
Yes.
17138.
Yes, sir.
Stands as approved. All right, next item is a request for consideration to accept the dedication of road at Edgewood Place. This coming to us from Special Issues. We'll take a report from Mrs. Smith.
Yes, we've actually previously accepted the dedication of the road, but at the time that we did that, we did not have information about the storm sewers and the sidewalks that are included in that, in the right-of-way. So we heard the item again, and we, in the committee just a second ago, and we voted 5-0 to re-accept the dedication of the road, including the sidewalks and storm sewers and right-of-ways. That motion was made by Ms. Andrus and seconded by Mr. Gwaltney, and the committee voted 5-0 to re-accept that dedication of that road. And this is pending the completion of the road and approval by the BEZ department that the road is indeed ready for.
Well, it includes all the public improvements within the right of way, which is in addition to the road. There's
Right.
curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and some sewer.
Yeah.
All right, so that's coming to us from special issues on a favorable vote. Any further discussion or questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's going to be resolution 17-139. Stands as approved. Next item is 210817, which is a request for consideration of off-street parking pad adjacent to the public street at 910 Salter Road. This also coming to us from special issues. Mrs. Smith.
I don't believe we took a vote on that. We heard from the homeowner. He is just going to actually take that parking pad out. He's not currently ready to work on that.
Okay.
It's on the, yeah, that's the item that was put on the consent agenda. We dropped
Yeah, we
that.
already dropped them.
My mistake.
That's okay.
So 210817 is already been
That's why y'all
dropped.
heard 210817.
Next
That's why I
item
heard it
then will be
twice.
190817, which is a request for consideration of changing the construction hours defined in section 5.9.1, regulations concerning the issuance of building and construction permits. This coming to us from Planning and Development. Mr. James. It's 190817.
Just on the other one, maybe? I had it, I put it there.
Hey, Mr. James, when we fly by the seat of our pants, you got to be ready, sir. You know.
Yeah,
So,
really.
to recap, it would change the construction working hours internally and externally from, oh well, I don't know what they are currently. I forget, something until 9 PM, because I had it wrong. To 7 to 7 PM, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 3 on Saturday, and no work hours on Sunday. And that's internal and external.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that just for residential areas or all the city?
You know, what was the, does it have the ordinance that I looked it up on?
It doesn't, it
5.9.
didn't limit it to zoning classifications. Simply that was throughout the city.
Yes, that's a topic of discussion.
I guess what I'm saying is,
I-
I understand the concern was about,
Primarily residential,
Yeah.
that's correct.
as
I
I
mean-
write the ordinance, I just want to make sure I
I
write it as
understand.
you wish.
I would, my request was primarily targeted toward residential construction, NPD, there we go, in the neighborhood preservation district, not commercial.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have comments here in just a second. I think first, we need a first reading on this, do we not, Mike?
No, sir, I don't have the ordinance.
Oh, we do not?
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
It was discussed and I didn't know what to put in the ordinance.
All right, so is this something we can discuss? Do we need to come back? Is this a first reading and a?
Well, as I understood, that we want to carry it over for the drafting of the ordinance.
Gotcha, okay, fair enough. All right, certainly entertain comments and.
Detailed reading.
All right. All right, well, I'll entertain comments and discussion certainly before we carry it over. Mr. Wolverton?
I just wanted to, I guess, clarify, because Mr. Kendrick said currently Sundays are, only with special permission ahead of time. So I don't remember if we said that was going to be off the table completely
The
or
current ordinance says no exterior work.
on Sundays?
Yes, sir.
Even without?
Permission.
Right, without
It
permission.
doesn't regulate or prohibit interior work. Currently.
Gotcha. But we were talking about both earlier tonight. Okay. Right, right.
They couldn't cut lumber outside. I'm not telling you they don't, but technically they could not
So-
work outside.
you don't have windows, no one's still traveling.
Sure. So were we leaving Sundays as no, even without special permission, or were?
That's what we voted.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that part, I
That's
guess.
what we voted.
Okay.
Could you tell me again, so I make sure, no Sunday?
No
right?
Sundays.
No Sundays. No
Yeah.
Sundays.
And this is to be citywide, regardless of the district or location?
In the NPD.
Only in NPD?
That's correct. That's
That
correct.
is correct.
All right, what is the rest of the city?
To remain what it is.
All right, so existing remains as the current hours, and then we want to limit exterior work within the NPD to these hours you just mentioned.
That's correct.
You want to look at that, Andy?
Yeah,
I'll send you a draft. I'm struggling.
I would think you probably want to do that. Let's carry that before we vote on it.
Yeah, I think we got some details to work out here.
So the exterior prohibition, 7 to 7 on Monday through Friday, and 8 to 3 on Saturday, no on Sunday, only deals with work into, let me put it this way, including in and adjacent to, how about that? Because if somebody's just over the line, you wouldn't want them to.
Yeah,
do this.
true.
And all other districts in the city would be 6:30 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. And no outside work on Sunday except by permission. That's what currently exists.
I thought we talked about, didn't we say, as far as the interior went, that it could still be loud on the interior if there was work being done? Didn't we have that discussion?
I think his discussion was, though, as I understood what he just said, is limited to the NPD concern.
Hey, he's talking about the districts. Are we talking
Yeah.
what areas of town are we talking about?
No, yeah, but it
I'm
didn't-
talking about NPD, including adjacent.
But before that, when you said exterior, I thought we had a discussion about whether or not the interior, didn't we say it could still be really loud if someone's working on the interior of a house?
Yeah, because all Mr. Kendrick is saying is exclusively exterior work.
Right.
He's not saying anything about the interior.
I tell you what, guys, we're going to carry this over, and we will have further communication to see whether it needs to go back down to committee. Right now, we'll keep it up here in council.
Somebody let me know. I'll
And,
send the draft,
and
as I presently understand
it sounds like there needs to be some further communication
sure.
on exactly what was approved, so we know what was approved in committee to
Robert
come up
raised an
to.
objection. This would relate to homeowners.
It looks like some of the folks would like to deal with this last comment.
Okay, all right. So without objection, we're going to go ahead and
What am I to draft?
I don't think you're drafting anything right now,
Okay.
at this very moment, because we don't know exactly what to
We don't know what
draft.
to tell you to draft.
So what we're going to do, 1908-17, we're going to carry over, we're going to keep it at council, and we'll see if it can survive up here, if we have to send it back down to committee. All right, next item we're going to move on is committee referral agenda, which has been amended, and without, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as amended. By Mr. Hickenbotham, second by Mr. McCluskey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to other new business, 060917, which is a request for consideration to set a public hearing to consider declaring property located at 1801 Kensington Road a public nuisance due to violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth. We can set that public hearing for September 25th at 6 p.m.
No, sir, we can't. because,
Cannot.
You have to give 7 days' notice, and this is the 15th.
All right, so what date do we need to move that
The
to?
first time you could consider it is October the 9th.
October 9th. All right, so we will set that October 9th, and I guess along with these others.
Yes, sir.
So without objection, we'll set the public hearing on 060917, again for October 9th, 2017 at 6 p.m. 070917, which is a request for consideration to set a public hearing to consider declaring the property located at 1000 Forest Brook Drive a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth. We're going to set that public hearing also for October 9th. And then we have 080917, which is another request for consideration to set a public hearing to consider declaring the property located at 1602 Ridge Road a public nuisance due to violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth, and we will set that for public hearing October 9th as well, which happens to be yours truly birthday, so that'll be a very special day to have these public hearings. All right, next item, I'm going to skip over to 100917, which is a request to set a public hearing and referral to Special Issues Committee for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 1745 Oxmoor Road. I do have this down for public hearing for September 25, 2017. That will not work either, okay? So we'll set that for October 9th. Boy, it's going to be a happy birthday. October 9th, 2017 at 6 p.m. without objection. Then that will get us to, I'm going to go and take 180917, which is a request to fund the HPM list of invoices that were paid by the Board of Education. That came before Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir. And to explain to everybody, I mean, it was, we went to a meeting and I did not get this information until today. So let's be clear. I would have forwarded it to you if I had gotten it earlier. But I just received it today at the same time everybody else did. So the Exhibit A are the expenditures that have been made through HPM. So from the floor, I would recommend, I don't know if we need to review this further, but if you take out the item in there that should not be part of the warrant issue, it'd be $73,585.58 would be the approval to bring them up to speed with where they are now. So I'll make that motion and then we can have discussion on it.
All right, so we have a motion for approval of those list of invoices, less the attorney fee portion, which I think is what you specified, for a total of $73,585.58, assuming your math is correct, sir. Motion for approval by Mr. Jones.
I would second that.
I have a second by Mrs. Smith. Okay, so further discussion, comments?
I was just going to say that's going to be paid out of the construction, Fund 26, construction fund for the Board of Education behalf.
And I'm happy to take any questions and try to get them answered. I don't think the mayor has a copy of this either.
I'd like to ask a question. I know we had the question already about the attorney's fees they included. Obviously, I'll go ahead and make the statement that I would expect that we get these requests ahead of time in the future, to the point of where I think there should be an item on the agenda.
And I do think that's the plan.
Okay.
This was one that was sort of, has been collected, that have been incurred over a period of time. But I think going forward, they do intend to actually bring these items before payment through our committee process.
Okay. The only other comment I'd have, and I don't know the answer to this, the attorney's fees seem very obvious to me that cannot be paid out of bond proceeds. There's a few others here on the list that, just looking at it, I don't know the answer. I question, is this appropriate to be paid for with bond proceeds? I don't know that answer, and we haven't really had time to figure out the answer. So I just raised that question.
Because they're not capital, or because you don't think they actually fall within this scope of what we're doing?
Both.
Both.
And again, I don't sit here and have that answer. Some of them, I'm curious, would it be considered capital? And I know we have to spend those proceeds on capital. And the other side, just a thought, and maybe it's not up to us to sit here and make that decision, but what exactly is the money intended for?
Yeah, and Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I'll just make the comment in terms of we had the right spirit in terms of how we were going to work through this. So Mr. Kendrick drafted, a funding agreement with the Board of Education, and we sent it to their lawyer and to their board, and it got returned with, I mean, so many red lines that you couldn't even read it. I mean, they really didn't agree to our funding agreement, so we really never got a clear funding agreement established. So we're trying to do the best we can to work through this. We made it clear in the funding agreement, and Mr. Kendrick can add any further comments here, but we made it clear that it has to be it has to be an expense that is tied to the bond proceeds for capital expenses. And I guess they assumed that, work on the current elementary schools would be a part of that. So I don't know the answer. I'm just saying we tried to develop more of a pretty clear policy to work through all of this, but we never got to an agreement about that.
Well, I guess another question I would have was some of these items are work, and obviously I think we all expect to spend money from the bond proceeds on refurbing elementary schools and whatnot. But some of these items, and this was presented by HPM, some of these items I think probably was HPM involved with it, the putting up a wall here, fixing an HVAC there, or is that general maintenance? Is that something that was already in place to be done prior to HPM coming on board? And I guess finally, is there a sense of urgency on approving these, or can we get the answers we're asking for before tonight?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, well, and I suppose we can do that. And I will ask Mike. I assume there's no clear answer on whether these fall under the proper heading of capital improvements. You can't answer that tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what.
Although I'd like to go to work for a school board at $5 an hour.
Is there a sense of urgency? Do we have to approve tonight, or can we get our answers and do it in a week?
Okay.
No, and I would say we have time to carry it over. That's not a problem. I'm the one that established the, I said, you need to come to finance when we spoke about this, but I didn't realize, I thought they were just going to come and provide a report.
Sure.
They weren't coming with, let's have a funding request here, so I was not properly prepared, so that's my fault. But I don't see a problem with carrying it over. I believe these are the only items that are part of that, and then everything else is in the HPM realm.
Well, our next meeting is a week from now, so I certainly, perhaps
Yeah.
there's something we can straighten out one way or the other by the time next week. So without objection, I'll go ahead and carry this item over unless there's further discussion on it.
So I'll withdraw my motion.
So are we asking that a school board come and address it with you, or what are we?
Well, I think any and all questions, send them to me, and I'll forward them to Mr. Kendrick. We need to get these answered and make sure that we're within the law in terms of the proceeds, and then we can forward it to them for answers.
I think we need to, it's come to light we don't have a funding agreement in place, or whatever we sent them, they rejected. We probably need to revisit that, just so this doesn't happen again. Just so we have some structure.
Cleveland and asking if he would sit down with us and talk.
Sure. Are we going to have committees again next week?
I assume
Can we
so.
just refer this back to finance and have them come?
But I think the problem is, then it's, well, I'm not guess that would necessarily delay it any more than it is now.
We're going to have committees and council on the same night as
Yeah, we just didn't have time tonight to really get into a lot of it due to, just time constraints. But I'm open to whatever. I want to get it answered, and we can either leave it on here, or it can go back to finance.
Well, I just assumed just to leave it here instead of, and see if we can, I mean, I don't know if it matters if it's going to be discussed in committee or here in council, but I would think, let's see what progress we can make with communications with the school board between.
It looks like they've already been paid, most of them.
It looked like, Mr. Jones, on that meeting we went to, I may be wrong, but I was under the assumption that the board had already incurred those fees just in opening the school building this year up, and they were just wanting us to pay them back, which is different from paying the vendors on HPM
That's
and the
correct.
demographer. I took that we were paying the school board back. That's how I understood it.
That's correct.
But they've already paid it.
They've made this payment, they're expecting a reimbursement
Right.
out of the bond proceeds.
Yeah, they were just wanting us to reimburse them for their out-of-pocket
That's right.
expenditures to open the school year.
So we have time to handle this.
All right, so with that,
Thank you, Ms. Salter.
we'll carry it over without any further discussion or objection. All right, next item is going to be 0917, which is a request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of, we'll do this twice,
Yes.
of August 28, 2017 through September 10, 2017. That coming through finance, and I believe Mrs. Smith has the honors.
Correct.
I do, and this is going back a few weeks, but I had a few questions. They all were answered, and then we didn't have our meeting, so I would suggest that they've already been paid because we decided it was more important to pay the bills on time than wait until tonight to get service fees. So we've already paid the bills, but I would move that we would pay the bills.
All right, so we're going to pay the bills, request for payment of those vouchers from, again, this is from August 28, 2017 through September 10, 2017. That's a motion from Mrs. Smith. Entertain a second. Second. By Mr. Hickenbotham. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Now, we have one more batch. That stands as approved. And we have one more batch of vouchers to be approved, 160917, which is a request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of September 11th, 2017 through September 17th, 2017. Mrs. Smith?
This one was way easier because it was only 1 week's worth and it was really short. So I would move again that we would pay the next set of invoices.
All right, thank you. Any further questions? I'll entertain a
Ms.
second.
Smith, did you get your answers this afternoon? We were
Yes.
late.
Second
I-
by
Hold on,
Mr. Thames.
Email.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, second by Mr. Hickenbotham, excuse me. All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's 160917 vouchers from September 11th through September 17 also stand as approved. Okay, that gets us through our agenda. Wow. I believe, and Mayor, any announcements?
We had to do it in two because it was two batches.
Thank you for your work tonight. Really just one kind of sad announcement really for our city of Homewood, Ms. Burton, who many of you know has worked with our band and altered those band uniforms for 41 years. She passed away this morning, and so Homewood's missing a big part of an incredible family, really, and somebody that just simply dedicated a huge portion of her life to our band students. And I'll get the details out to you as far as the arrangements, but I do know that a large portion of the band, I think, will be in attendance at Dawson for her service to honor her for all the years that she served the city of Homewood and our school system and our band and football team, and I think everybody knows her. So
Absolutely.
but I'll get the finalized arrangements to you.
And Mr. Mayor, she was mending those band uniforms, I mean, until recently.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, her husband passed away, and then she had started having some health issues, and had been in decline for some time, but still, I think when people in Homewood hear of Miss Burton, they always think of those band uniforms.
She's an institution.
And how systematic she was and how good she was at taking care of it. So I believe the service is going to be Thursday, but I'll confirm it tomorrow with everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Gwaltney?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thames?
I apologize for not being able to remember what we did 10 minutes ago, but it's happening more and more these days.
You're too young for that, sir.
It only gets worse.
Oh, really? You got a long way to go.
This might have something to do with it.
Yeah, really.
Melody, you did a great job on that invocation. Thank you. And I've just got the one potential annexation. We are calling committee meetings next week. I mean, I really only need probably 10 minutes. So do I need to call that prior to 5 o'clock? Or what do we think?
All right, Walter, we don't have budget work on next Monday, do we?
Well, yeah, we probably
We were gonna meet like around 5:45, just to find any kind of final items that we need to take care
Okay,
of.
so let's try to get committees done before 5:45.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Let's start the process. All right, Mr. Thames?
Should we try and build an hour for committees? So I'll say 4:45 P&D.
All right.
And I only need probably 10 minutes if we can even get in touch with this applicant.
All right, let's see how this goes. 4:45, we'll call it 4:45 to 5, okay? All right, Mr. Hickenbottom?
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Wolverton?
I don't have anything substantial.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'd love to go and do my committee that, as it comes through here, but I guess I better not.
No, it
do that.
skips right over you.
It does skip, so I'm always last, no matter where I sit,
That's right.
All right, Mr. McCluskey.
Sorry. I'll do public safety at 5. I'm looking to my two Ward 2 people. How long do you think I should give?
So is this for next, this is for next week?
Next Monday. Well, we,
So moving it up.
yeah.
Okay.
30 minutes? I don't want to go over that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Or should I do 15 and make it as quick as possible, or I'll let you guys. True. $15? Okay. So we'll do 5 to 5:15. Public safety. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. McCluskey. And Mr. Jones?
Finance, 5:15. We're gonna need, we're gonna need 30 minutes. 5:45. That didn't give you any time. Okay, I'll go to 5:30.
I'll take 0 minutes.
Okay, 5:30. And good job, Mr. Wright.
Oh, thank you.
Man, I mean, I tell you, I'm impressed.
Hey, Mr. Jones, we don't have a budget meeting announced at 5:45. Do I need to publish one?
Yeah, and then at 5:45, we'd like to do our final budget meeting to finalize items.
And you want me to cancel the one that's for Wednesday this week too?
Yes, and
Okay,
then.
and
then-
announce one for.
and we're-
Okay.
Yeah, and so, we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow at 4. We're really doing well with the budget, and so we're going to meet tomorrow at 4, and then we're going to cancel the meeting on the 20th, Wednesday, the 20th, and that's September, at 4. So we're canceling that meeting, for budget hearings, because we're doing so well, thanks to you and the mayor and everybody. So just wanted to, and so the only one we have will be tomorrow and 5:45 next Monday, the 25th, as we finalize the budget.
And meanwhile, finance is set for 5:15 to 5:30.
Correct.
Okay.
Wait,
anything
no.
else, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Well, you're
Thank you,
5:30.
Mr. Jones. Now, Mrs. Smith?
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Wright?
You may ask
Do
me
you
a
have
question,
anything
Mrs.
on,
Smith.
do you have anything on Public Works?
I do, but don't worry about my time.
The problem is,
4:30. You can go at 4:30.
If I go at 5:30, I could, because the budget hearing starts at 5:45. So.
I was probably, perhaps I could do it at 4:30, but,
We have been known for this to start.
Do you have a few items? Okay. All right.
Always, man.
What-
People
what-
need signs. In a good way or a bad way, or I have issues. It's,
Just a suggestion.
Mhm.
If this, you might be better off doing the 4:30 and me taking the 15-minute slot, meaning you would have.
well,
some
no, I'd
time.
only have 15 minutes then.
Oh, I forgot we got a 4:45. Oh, my goodness.
It's 15 minutes either way.
Okay.
But would it be easier for you, work-wise, if I took 4:30?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I will be 4:30 to 4:45.
You are a nice person.
And I also just want to say, I'm going to brag on the football team for a minute because they are now 4-0. Since the last time we met, they've defeated Vestavia, Parker, and JO. It's the first time they've been 4-0 since the last time they won the state championship, and they broke the 10-year losing streak to Vestavia. So homecoming's this Friday night against Helena. Come out and see them go 5-0.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Now I'm fired up, ready to put my shoulder pads on. All right, Mr. White.
The Homewood Athletic Foundation is having the second annual Buddy Wade Memorial Golf Tournament tomorrow at 8:30 at Oxmoor Valley. I do still have some slots available if anyone wants a last-minute entry, but should be fun if you can make it out.
Great. Thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Andrus?
I'll just say Homewood Cross Country is off to a strong start, and I will tell you that the middle school boys and girls crushed the competition. It's on Saturday. The lowest score, the winningest score you can get is 15, and both the girls and the boys scored a 20, which means they had, I mean, it was ridiculous. So Homewood Cross Country, the future is bright.
That bodes well for the high school.
Yes, it does.
All right, thank you. And I guess I will set Public Works for 5:30. Thank you, Mrs. Smith, and thank you for everyone's indulgence tonight on a wild and woolly meeting, and we will stand adjourned. Thank y'all.